What's up guys, welcome back to the channel, and we've got an exciting video for you today. We have the 5 900 global releases with these two dudes throwing them on 2 different patterns. Here we go. All right guys, on lane 1 and 2, we've got Highway to Hell, which is 2.4 to 1. It's 40-foot sport pattern. And then on lanes 3 and 4, we have Stone Street, which is a 9.5 to 1, 42-foot recreational shot. So first off, let's talk about layouts. Mark is gonna be throwing the Volt and the Flux. And on his Volt, he went with a pin down. So Mark's PAP is 4.5 over and a half up, right? That's right. Half up. On the Flux, he went with a 4.5-inch pin with his PSA at a 3-inch position, which makes that ball really unstable and create a lot of motion in the lane. Tariq is 5 1/8 over and 3/8 up. 5 1/8, 3/8 up. On his Ordnance Solid, he went with a 4.5-inch pin. Because it's symmetric, obviously we just keep that CG somewhere in the grip center, and this ball has a little bit more shape down lane. With the Ordnance Pearl, he went with a pin down, which is a 5 1/8 pin from his PAP, also symmetric. And then finally, Tariq drilled out the Badger Infused with a power pin. It's a 4-inch pin. This core is also symmetric. It is 30% urethane, 70% reactive, so it gives you that urethane shape up front with a little bit more pop down lane like a reactive. After we finished shooting, I recorded some of this upcoming audio during our lunch, basically. It was more organic. I tried to keep the audio in tune with what balls we were talking about. I did my best to keep it in sequence. Hopefully it's not too confusing. After bowling on Highway to Hell, you threw the Ordnance Pearl, and the Badger Infused. The Ordnance, what was your first impressions on Highway to Hell?
First shooting on the Highway to Hell, I tried to stay further right. You had to be exact with it. Didn't give me a lot of room. Moving left with it and trying to open up the lane a little bit, it gave me a little more miss room. I'm just moving my target in, because it definitely gave me, once my arm swing freed up, a great look with it.
All right, here's Mark's take on the Flux. Mark is a man of few words, so I'll put my 2 cents in first. I thought the show was really strong. It hooked early and it didn't really continue for him, pretty much out of room with it. And here's what Mark thought of the Flux.
And the Flux, also on Highway to Hell, what'd you think about that?
I had to move very far left for my liking.
Here's Tariq with the Ordnance Pearl. I thought he had a very good look with it. Tariq was lined up well with all 3 releases. The cover variation from the bowling balls on Highway to Hell gave him 3 distinct angles to play. Here's what Tariq thought.
And the Ordnance Pearl?
The Pearl, I had to move even further left with it, but I was able to get it further out to like 6, and it still came back. But the downside of it is if I missed inside, it sailed, and I was leaving it 2-8-10 or something, or washout or something I just didn't want to shoot at.
Here's my take on the Ordnance Pearl on Highway to Hell. I think the Pearl cover outmatched this flatter pattern. Tariq had to give away the pocket and overextend his down lane angle, which led to some unrewarding carry on the pin deck. Leave a comment and let us know what you think. Here is Mark rolling the Volt. I thought he had a better look on Highway to Hell with this ball compared to the Flux. It seemed like his room for error increased, which made his swing free up a bit more. The Volt had a lot more energy through the pins as well. Let's hear Mark's thoughts on this.
Mark.
Yes.
The Volt.
Yes.
What was your first impression of the Volt on the sport pattern Highway to Hell?
My first impression of the Volt was had a clean look, but it's a little bit much in the back.
Here's Tariq rolling the Badger Infused for the final shots on Highway to Hell. Keep in mind that this was the 5th ball tested on this pattern, and it started to get trickier at this point. The 70-30 was a lot stronger than I expected it to be. It managed to be clean up front, but it had a whole heap of energy on the back. For that reason, as the head started to transition, Tariq was stuck with a not so confidence-inspiring ball reaction. Let's hear his thoughts.
And finally, the Badger Infused on Highway to Hell.
Badger Infused, I like the most on that shot because of the 70-30 combo of it. I was actually able to stay right and play in my wheelhouse and fire it up, 8 to 10. And it got through the front and then just turned in the back end, and I had the best look with that one.
Now we move on to Stone Street. The next audio you hear will be Tariq and I talking about the ball reaction he saw on this pattern. I added a few shots from our friend Scott, who is a two-handed bowler using the flux. This ball really comes alive with Scott's high rev rate, and it showcases the strength from this big asymmetrical block. Thank you, Scott, for helping out. And here's the audio.
So you threw a lot of strikes on Stone Street. You can just see in the video, man, you had a ton of space on all three, really all three bowling balls you were striking with. Mm-hmm. So starting again from the ordnance, do you feel like the ordnance going from Highway to Hell to the house shot, the shape is basically the same, right? Do you think just because of the easier pattern, you just had more room with it? What do you think?
Oh, in the house shot, I definitely had more room with all three of them. So I was standing left on the house shot compared to the Highway to Hell on all three balls.
Perfect.
And it's going to be that way because you have higher volume of oil. Highway to Hell, you said was like 40?
It's 40 feet and it's 2.5 or 2.4 to 1. I think the ratio was so, 2.4, 2.5, somewhere around there.
And as you bowl more on the patterns, it's going to change.
Yeah.
So the house shot just had way more room.
As you guys got down to the final couple bowling balls, Stone Street started to break apart. Mark was having difficulty keeping the volt on the lane. You were having difficulty finding the pocket with the infused, and that's just going to happen no matter what kind of shell that you're using, no matter what kind of ball you're using.
On the house shot, yeah.
Yeah, house shot. Yep.
That's just because with the infused, it's just going to lose that much energy in the back because it is part urethane.
Right.
So you are going to get that part where
it stands up a little bit.
It's going to plaque, and you're going to leave a flat 10.
The clip you are watching now is Scott, and you can see how the flux digs into the pattern and continues strongly to the pins. Scott made Stone Street look really easy. He was able to stand left, throw it at the gutter, and let that ball wheel on back. We definitely all agree that the flux shows its best stuff in the hands of a high rev rate bowler. It blends out the wet dry really, really well, and it continues to the pocket. And here's a close-up shot of that flux going through the pins. This is probably my favorite shot to see.
That might be it.
And I threw in a little bonus clip of Mark trying to throw it two-handed with his dirty face. It's, yeah, wow, yikes, not too good. Here's Tariq with the Ordnance Pearl on Stone Street. Going from sport to recreational is a big change in mindset. From a very focused, I need to execute this shot, to a very lax, let's try not to trip over myself as I run out the front 10 type of focus. Am I right? This last bit of audio is Mark telling you where he can see these releases fitting into the arsenal for certain players. My final thoughts on these balls are as follows. Firstly, they all play very well off each other. Secondly, the thoughtful design is very apparent. And lastly, go to your local 900 Global shop and pick one or all of these rocks up. After that is the outro.
What type of bowlers would you recommend these balls for? Let's start with the bowl.
Well, the ball is just a really good all-around ball. So any bowler can bowl with it.
And the flux. Who would benefit from throwing the flux?
More experienced bowlers that can move more.
Hook it more, maybe, or get around it more.
Sure.
Or you mean move your target
and move your feet. People who can adjust the shots.
Perfect.
How did you, question 3. Concerning the house shot Stone Street for the Volt, what was your impressions of that ball on the house shot?
I thought it was going to be a down and in ball, and it was not.
And the Flux.
Well, I already knew the Flux wasn't going to be a down and in ball. I already tried that. I had to move a good amount left and open it up.
All right, so that was it. 2 different patterns, 2 different dudes, 5 different bowling balls. Thank you for watching. Please give us a thumbs up, subscribe, hit the notification icon so you don't miss another on-lane ball review from Callahan's Performance Bowling. Thank you very much to Tariq and Mark joining me today. It was awesome. I'm Fred Callahan. We are once again Callahan's Performance Bowling, and we'll see you next time.